What's up, college baseball fans? Welcome to another episode of the 11.7 podcast, weekend number 6 recap episode. And it's sponsored and brought to you by our good partners at Home Field Apparel. Go to homefieldapparel.com, 15% off using promo code CWS25 for your first purchase. They're great, and they're about to start rolling out some absolute heat in the college baseball world. So check out their website. It might be dropped already. So check it out. They're the best, and they got big things planned coming forward. So here we go. Dimitri, live from Italy for the seventh straight year,
Dick.
sixth straight year. Going to be put in the Italian Baseball Hall of Fame here before we know it. And then Jack finally makes the trip back to Charleston. And you got to call 3 baseball games this weekend with D1 baseball legend Joe Healy. Charlotte hosting UTSA. Jack, let's lead off with that because I have only 2 things I want to talk about this episode, and it's going to take a majority of the time. Other than that, no structure. So lead off with your experience in Charlotte and tell us about the Roadrunners and the Niners.
Yeah, Joe Healy, a pros pro, was awesome sitting next to him for all 3 games. Fantastic starting pitching. Getting to see the college baseball viral sensation Blake Gillespie on Friday night, Charlotte's Friday night arm, who transferred in from Georgia. 14 punch-outs to no walks on Friday night. Like, are you kidding me? And then maybe the most incredible inside the Parker I've ever seen in person, or maybe online ever. I really appreciated y'all's kind words. Like, it didn't take a genius to be able to identify the nuttiness that happened off the bat of Mason Lytle. For those that are unaware of what I'm referring to, Mason Lytle hits a routine ground ball the other way. It's 101 off the bat, so don't get me wrong. It is hit hard. But with the infield shifted over, the second baseman out of play, the right fielder comes charging in hard, glances off the second baseman's glove. So that inside the Parker was pretty spectacular. Charlotte wins on Friday. UTSA bounces back and wins the next 2. We were talking about it before we jumped on, and I don't want to take up too much time just because I drink the Kool-Aid so fast whenever I'm around programs. But Pat Hallmark, a Rice legend, has got something really special in San Antonio. He's got 11 guys hitting over 300, hitting 348 as a team. They rake, they play small ball, they hit bombs. I was really impressed with the Roadrunners this weekend, and equally so, Coach Woodard, very prideful in that Charlotte program. So I think the American Conference as a whole is on the up and up without question.
Yeah, 2 things here. One, Pat Hallmark, I think, has done the most with the resources that he has. He has a legitimate high school facility. The UTSA baseball aura around the state of Texas is not there, but he goes and grabs guys that are winners in high school, guys that play every single day for their high school team that don't show up on the first team All-State Texas UIL. Like, no, he goes and gets guys that are going to fill roles and they're going to produce. And if you gave him a unlimited budget like the University of Texas has, oh my God, they would be world beaters. I'm not saying he's ever going to get the Texas job because I think Schloss is cementing himself there. But if you're Texas Tech, Texas A&M, TCU, Baylor, Texas, like, it doesn't matter. If you give him the resources, he would win a College World Series. Second thing, I don't think Charlotte's going to lose the rest of the season on Friday nights. It is impressive what they're able to do. Remind me of the last name. I always forget his last name, the starter.
Gillespie, yeah.
Gillespie. Okay. Yeah, throws a no-hitter last week and then comes back this week and just shoves. He's a guy that if they somehow sneak into a regional, which is very possible in the AAC, he could win that first game, whether they're a 3 seed, 2 seed, 4 seed, it doesn't matter. So that inside the park home run was laugh out loud funny. It was a video game inside the park home run. I'm glad we led the show off. That hilarious.
It was an elite moment, man. I've never seen anything like it. I go, and the best part is Mason Lytle, the kid that hit it, he was the preseason player of the year. Dude, he flies. There was never a question whether it was going to be an inside the Parker, though. That was the craziest part. It was like, oh, this is a no doubter. That was nuts. But to your point, Gillespie he's played on 2 of the themes that we talk about. It feels like every episode. Pitchability. He's 91, 93, but he throws 4 pitches for a strike quite literally whenever he wants to. And then the portal, right? A guy that, like, there was just a logjam in Athens, right? Like, so to be able to go and be able to, like, absorb as much knowledge under the tutelage of Robert Woodard, a guy that's been a pitching coach at UNC and has done the biggest of things. It was like the perfect fit for him. And like Charlotte is, you're right. Like, I don't care if they go to a regional this year, like, I don't care who they face. If I got Gillespie on Friday night, they're getting my hypothetical investment.
You know,
Yeah,
I think Charlotte is so notorious the last couple of years for being so close, for being playing games so well, but just never winning enough games. For like I feel like me and Ben every week we do the mid majors like Charlotte question mark, Charlotte question mark. Just not enough, just not enough. And it's like I think they're probably a top 25 mid major team year in and year out, just talent alone, but they just schedule difficult. And then when they have an easy weekend, they just don't show up. It's so weird. Like they're always this close to being a 35-40 win team, but they just some reason just come up that short every time. So Charlotte's always been an intriguing, interesting team for me.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move the page here. Second thing I want to talk about, what is a bigger surprise to you guys? That Florida is 0-6 in SEC play or Texas A&M is 0-6 in SEC play? Because, and I don't want to spend the whole show on this. Obviously, they both, like Florida's pitching injuries are crazy. Texas A&M without Gavin Grahovic is a huge miss on what they were projecting this season. But I do want to spend a little bit of time because here's a spoiler. Later in the show, on this sheet of paper right here, I wrote down like a potential, like not a field of 64, but how many teams per conference are going to make it? And I got to 82 teams possible, and we have to eliminate some. And I'll explain it later. It's the preface of a field of 64, but it was like hard for me to even consider a Florida or a Texas A&M to make it into the projected field of 64, because even if they win 2 out of 3 their next 2 weekends, like let's say the next 2 weekends A&M wins 2 out of 3, Florida wins 2 out of 3, that puts them at 4 and 8 in conference. And it's like, dude, we still have a long ways to go. Like we're not even close to like that magic number. So surprising wise, who do you guys think is more surprising at 0-6?
I think big picture wise, Florida just played the best team in the country, Tennessee, on the road. 0-3, whatever. Like, yeah. Georgia, for me, I've always thought Georgia was one of the best teams in the country. That was just me. That was just my opinion preseason. I picked them to win the SEC. I think they're a top 5 team in the country, no doubt, and they went down there and spanked them. But I think in the grand scheme of things, I think A&M's 0-6 start is more surprising. But once again, preseason, I told you guys that I thought early in A&M was going to struggle. You guys thought I was crazy for it. I said I don't think they're going to be very good. And, I mean, it's just hard. A first-year head coach in the best conference in baseball. I mean, it's just head coach matters. And I went on a limb and thought they weren't going to be very good. So I'm not surprised. But I think overall, I think A&M 0-6 started more shocking. But at the same time, I feel like they're the same. I don't know.
Yeah, it's happening in different ways, though, right? Like, to your point, Ben, the Grahovac injury, people aren't talking about Caden Sorrell for A&M as well. They actually get Caden Sorrell. It appears like he'll be back this weekend at home against Kentucky. That's a big get for that offense. But they're losing in different ways, right? Like Florida has sustained 2 weekend arm injuries, and they have given up a ton of runs. Offensively for A&M, they've had a couple injuries, and they haven't been able to score, but have a top 10 ERA in baseball, right? So it's like neither of them have been able to get over the injury hurdle. So to me, the biggest surprise is still A&M. I still have not sold my stock yet. I wish I could buy more at as low as it is right now. But to your point, to be able to run the table, run the gauntlet, to get back in the picture, man, to say it's an uphill climb would be the understatement of the century. I don't doubt Sully either. Theirs has happened, I think, more quietly, though. I think that's maybe what has been most surprisingly, because all the attention in the world is on A&M and their struggles, where Florida were cruising, and then you get to SEC play, and it's like, we're in trouble.
100%. Dude, A&M just needs to hit with runners in scoring position. It is flat out embarrassing what they're doing this season. I think they're hitting like around a 150 clip in throwaway games with runners in scoring position. And I don't want to blame the kid because I love him to death. I think he's a superstar. But Jace Lavalette, I mentioned it maybe off air, but he only hits home runs or extra base hits in the first inning or in a blowout. And this pattern has continued. And obviously he's not getting the best pitches in the world to hit with runners on base. But if he can't do it, like somebody else has to step up. They were 1 for 15 or 1 for 17 this weekend with runners in scoring position on Vandy or from against Vandy. And you can only credit Vandy's pitching staff so much. When it comes to 1 for 15 or 1 for 18 on the weekend, that's a hitting problem. That's the bottom line. So if A&M can start hitting the ball and producing runs, they should start winning more games because, Jack, you said it, top 10 pitching staff in the country. Florida, on the other hand, they've kind of just ran into two buzzsaws.
Yeah.
Tennessee and Georgia, and hand up, I was wrong on Georgia. I thought they would be good. Didn't think they were going to be great. That's a great team. With Georgia's one minor flaw is they're not getting innings out of their starting pitching. But who cares? If the bullpen's going to hold a lead, they're going to hold a lead.
Right.
So for me, the surprising factor would be Texas A&M because of the offense.
To kind of lead up, to build off of that, getting what they got out of Curley on Saturday, I'm telling you guys, this Georgia team, if they just the same way A&M, if they're hitting flips, they're going to start winning games. That's just mathematical. They're going to score more runs than the other team. Their pitching is good enough. Same thing with Georgia. But on the flip side, if Georgia get their starting pitching better, they're only going to be that much better. It's not like they're going from bad to good. They're going from good to tier 1 status with Tennessee. So that's where I think that's the difference between what our conversations of A&M Florida versus Tennessee and whoever else.
I'd love to use that as a perfect segue into two other teams that kind of fit a really similar bill that you mentioned, Dimitri. My answer might be C, Virginia. Like what's happening right now in Charlottesville. And I also give a lot of credit to a Duke team that we had similar question marks. But to Dimitri's point, they struggled to find outs in starting pitching. But if the bullpen's going to get the job done, like let's just flip this thing upside down. And kudos to Coach Pollard for making some difficult decisions early, figuring it out, getting back on track. The offenses woke up. Now all of a sudden we're really back excited about this Duke team that I felt like we never really lost faith, but we're just more questioning what the heck was going on. But vice versa, like I'm not really sure what's happening in Charlottesville, but a similar topic to freaking A&M in Florida. It's like, all right, it's coming, right? But how much time do you have left?
That is a good. See, Virginia is kind of the team that everybody forgets about, right? But they were also unanimously top 3 team in the country. Most people had them at number 2. I picked them to go to Omaha this year. I thought what they were returning was incredible. They're in trouble too. What are they, 12-9 this year? And
that's what I was just about to say. Virginia is 12-9. Duke is 16-9. So it's like, is Duke really that bad? I mean, they're 16-9. Yeah, they had that series loss to Cincinnati, and then they had that one loss to Cornell. But other than that, they haven't played horrible. I mean, they got swept by Stanford on the road on the West Coast. I mean, I think Stanford's good, but I mean, series win against Cal, sweep Virginia. I mean, I don't think Duke is playing horrible. I just think both of those teams are just underachieving or not exceeding expectations or whatever. So
yeah, I just looked up the preseason top 25, and 3 of the top 10 between A&M at number 1, Virginia at number 2, Florida at 10, and then Duke at 11. Like 4 of the top 11 have underachieved. Now I think Duke is turning the corner, but maybe it was just they're not as bad as Virginia. But it's rare to see these preseason rankings be as off as they probably should, or they're just off. I don't think we can be.
Let's not disrespect Florida here. Florida did not belong in the same conversation as Duke and Virginia.
Yeah, I would say this. I don't necessarily blame the top 25. I just think that in our sport, maybe far more different than others. A little bit inappropriate to say, though, because Kansas was the preseason unanimous number 1 in college basketball. They ended up being a 7 seed, bounced in the first round. In the same breath, right, like in baseball, Virginia and A&M brought back everybody. Like, that's why there was so much hype. That's why I don't blame the poll. I just think we forget how hard this sport is sometimes. And then when all of a sudden it starts to snowball and you're putting all the pressure in the world on your shoulders, it becomes like exhausting. And I think that's what we're seeing right now. In good news for both of those teams, I trust in their leadership to get them back on the right track. But the problem is, like, it's so top heavy, I think, which is something that we're going to talk a little bit about, Ben. Like, our sport's very top heavy. And with those two teams having to play SEC and ACC baseball every weekend, like, it's going to be tough.
I have a question for you guys before we move on from these teams. Florida, Virginia, Texas A&M. Do one of those teams make Omaha?
I will say no.
If you could bet plus 100, yes, one of those teams make Omaha. Minus 250, none of them make it.
I think I'd get better odds, to be honest with you, at this point in the game, right?
Yeah, I would probably say no, because at this point, I think you can kiss their hosting chances goodbye.
Yeah.
And I know it's only 6 weeks into the season, but we got to remember the season goes by quickly. And over these next 8 conference weekends, you got to play at like a 750 clip to just get into the regional hosting picture. So I don't know.
I mean,
we'll
15
see.
wins in the SEC, you're hosting, probably.
Yeah.
It depends. Now, that does segue later in this episode. Florida's AD Strickland is on the committee, so if they somehow get into the hosting picture, like, they're probably going to host because they have AD representation.
Yeah. All right, let's look. Should we just kind of recap the weekend?
Yeah, let's recap the weekend. Only about 5 or 6 series that I want to talk about, and then I want to move on and explain my hypothesis theory that I had going on here.
So that's a whole lot of scribble jibble.
It's a lot of writing. I'm still a pencil and paper guy.
Much better.
He said it. He said it. Hey, the first word always would come from your heart. See, that was such a PR move. He just bought.
I saw it earlier. I almost gagged a little bit. That's okay.
Ben is the pen guy. Everyone's a pen guy.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have a pencil sharpener in the house, so
I can change that. It's okay. Look at the hat.
Better.
Dim, look at the hat.
I do represent Pencil Talk merch every day. All right, let's do. So you guys want to start? There's 4 or 5 series that we should talk about.
Yeah.
I think the first one we should talk about is Tennessee at Alabama, just because that one started on Thursday. And first thing I'll say, Alabama, congrats! Like, you guys are finally adopting baseball and, like, investing into the fans' atmosphere. The ballpark was packed. It was great, good environment. Love to see that from. And I'm not saying they were bad in the past; they just weren't as good as some other teams. But the series was great. Alabama wins on Thursday night, and we're like, oh, Tennessee loses 2 in a row. Is Alabama going to just run away with the SEC this year? But you see the relentlessness of Vitello's team. They come back, hard-fought win on Friday, and then Saturday they kind of, I don't know, pull away just depth-wise. But it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun to watch.
Yeah.
I think, I'm going to be honest with you guys, I was scared shitless after that Thursday game when Alabama won that opener. I said, holy shit, yep. They're one of our weekend picks. Alabama's winning the series. Like, that's how sure I was. They looked dominant. They looked like, okay, this team can compete pound for pound, punch for punch with Tennessee. But Tennessee just showed us how good they are. To come back, lose the opener on the road against a team like Alabama, and still come back and win the series, best team in the country.
It's funny. I had a lot of Tennessee fans in my mentions, to your point, that I think felt the same sentiment, Dim, where it's like on Friday night or Thursday night, you're going, they got our guy. Like, he's still the guy. Don't worry. This is a dude. Liam Doyle is a dude. This is a bona fide top 10 pick. But Justin LeBron has cemented himself as maybe the most exciting player in our sport. Like, truthfully, that bases clearing double, the celly, the place erupts, and you're going goosebumps. Like, he's got it. vice versa, right? I kind of predicted it the other way. I thought Bama was going to get him on Saturday with Riley Quick, and I completely underestimated that horse that Duvall's got. That if there's a 1A to the 1B of Liam Doyle, what that young man is doing on the weekend is so ignorant. They're so good. I also, I interviewed Gavin Keelan. He's an absolute freak, but I got to start showing some more love to Sir Fisher. Some of the home runs this kid is hitting are really silly. They're explosive off the bat. He literally, like we talk about, like the scissor in the swing, like his like lower half leg literally like is a rubber band, and when he swings, it just pops. I've been really
facing
impressed
forward towards both feet were facing the pitcher after his home run. Don't know
I've
how
never
that's
seen
possible.
I tweeted that. I was like, I've never seen anything like this before. Like his body momentum was so like jerked up that he just literally like popped, and he was literally facing him like he was in a 3-point stance. It's nuts.
His Ole Miss home run mixtape is electric. He has missiles. He has missiles. Like he reminds me, like I don't even know, but he just has missiles, and he goes from dead, like not moving at all to just wham. So, yeah, I mean, I think that weekend told us a lot about both teams. That Alabama's for real, and that Tennessee is that good outside of Lindsey Nelson. Because everyone was like, "Oh, they haven't played outside Lindsey Nelson." Blah blah. And they're just as good.
No.
But hey, you know what was cool to see, guys? Right field. I don't know what. I think they have a name for it at Thomas Sewell, the Alabama Stadium name. It reminded me of the hog pen. Wasn't as wide and deep as the hog pen, but you looked out there, it was pretty deep out there, fellas. Their fans were probably 10, 15 rows deep out there, which was really impressive. Never seen anything like it.
No.
Yeah, that was like during their basketball run too. Like they have a basketball team in the tournament still. And they were playing on, was it Friday? Maybe right before or right after the we just lost Jack. But it was impressive to see like that many fans out to support the home team while their basketball team was fighting for a Sweet 16 berth. So good for them. Look, I think what Rob Vaughn has done at Alabama is one of the quicker turnarounds we've ever seen with a coach, and they're going to host a regional. They're a top 5 team in the SEC, no doubt. Dude, I would love to see him in Omaha. I'll put it to you that's a team that we haven't seen in Omaha in a long, long time. I think they're Omaha caliber. So, Jack had to make a switch to his phone. Can you hear us?
Absolutely infuriating. My computer is quite literally charging as we speak and just died on me. So I might have to start a GoFundMe for.
Hey, turn your phone sideways. Yeah.
The podcast listeners don't care. They might care about my audio though.
That sounds good.
Hey, I'm hand up. I was kind of skeptical about the Rob Vaughn from Maryland to Alabama move. Like, I thought this guy is going to be good, but like he's probably just going to get this team middle of the pack SEC. Probably a regional team every year. But I mean, even he's exceeded my expectation. Like this guy is going to build. He's building something there, and they're going to have that energy and that chip in their shoulders, just like Vitello did at Tennessee. It's their own little identity, and he's building it quick.
Yeah. Now, something that Justin LeBron has a chance to do is win a Golden Spikes and have to come back to school the next year. That's something that we haven't. I don't know when the last time that's happened. A freshman or a sophomore winning the Golden Spikes, non-draft eligible guy.
I don't think I can remember at all. The only person would be Bryce Harper because he was a JUCO guy and he could have went. He had eligibility left or whatever, but also so all the juniors that have won have eligibility left. So I don't think that's the same thing. They're all I don't know.
Is Justin LeBron the favorite to win the Golden Spikes as of right now?
No, I mean
it has to be definitely.
Think so?
I bet he's the betting.
He's already 50 plus RBI. He's already 50. Maybe you're right. Maybe he is the favorite. Who was the number one favorite preseason?
Jace Lavalette.
No, not so much in that conversation anymore.
Ava Arquette was high up there. I'm actually this was an unplanned segment. Is Justin LeBron the favorite to win the Golden Spikes right now? I think the answer is
Let
yes.
me pull it up.
I don't know if they have
DraftKings.
updated odds.
I'll tell you this much. Another guy, and I think it could be a good segue for us. Another shortstop that might be in consideration for the award too is Stephen Milam. What he's doing at LSU is really silly. Like making the switch from second to short. His range at that position is really stupid. Two crazy shortstops in the SEC that are up for that award. But if you're asking for your hypothetical betting favorite, it's got to be LeBron, and I bet by a wide margin today.
And Jack, you were kind of out while I brought this up, but we haven't seen a Golden Spikes winner have to come back to school the next year. Like Cags was close 2 years ago, but other than that, it's always juniors or seniors that win it, or draft eligible sophomores.
We've never had a two-time winner, to your point, right? Like usually
Uh-huh.
guys win it and are picked and popped. Man, that'd be a heck of a storyline going into next season.
Yeah, Justin LeBron's got to be he's got to be the favorite. I can't find anything, but he's got to be the favorite.
Yeah.
The guy's hitting 350 plus. He's halfway to 100 RBIs already. He's got 15 homers, 14 homers.
Yeah, and playing good defense. Really good defense.
Yeah, he's got to be the favorite.
Oh, speaking of defense, Jack, you just mentioned this, but Stephen Milam, hand up, had no idea he was nasty defensively. Because going into the season, he wasn't even a surefire thing to start at shortstop, was he?
Mm-mm. Well, I mean, think about it. They've had Michael Braswell, who's played a really good shortstop for them for the last couple of years. And it was said more about Milam than it did Braswell, who's getting time in third or getting time in second. Bill Franks, who's the longtime voice of LSU baseball, SID there, super awesome guy. He said on a podcast last week, because he's been doing this for a long time, right? This is one of the most historic baseball programs in the history of our sport, if not maybe ever. He said that duo through the middle of the field is the best he's ever seen between Dickinson and Milam. Like, put that in perspective.
Says a lot with the Bregmans that have come through, the DJ LeMahieu's, endless guys.
And Bill Franks said the best he's ever seen. Like, yeah, that dude can love it.
Are we talking Texas LSU now?
Perfect segue.
We'll segue into Texas LSU. It's kind of the reverse flip of the Tennessee Alabama series, where LSU wins, the road team wins on Friday. You think, wow, this team is seeing beach balls. They're offensively incredible. Cade Anderson, probably my favorite pitcher to watch in the country. And then Texas comes back, and nobody expected this, but a high-scoring game on Saturday. And then they just, from the jump on Sunday, took that momentum from Saturday and won the series. So I think it says a lot more about this Texas team being for real. LSU, we know, is talented. There's no question marks about it. But Texas defending their home turf, winning a series, that's an Omaha team right there.
Hey, this is not a knock on David Pierce, but Texas doesn't win this series a year ago. I think it's a Schloss thing. Schlossnagle, you got to put some respect on that guy's name. You've seen what A&M has done without him. You see how quickly Texas has turned things around to be a national, well-respected program, just like that. So I think Schloss is one of the best top 3 coaches in the country.
Now that we jump into this series, revert back to the other. Max Ballou probably in that conversation for the Golden Spikes too. He has another monster weekend. He's kind of taken on that leadership role where he's in the middle of every huddle. He's in the big moment every time they need a big swing. He's been a dog for them, but also another guy that's been on campus for a long time. Surprised that he didn't leave for the draft a year ago. Wanted to come back to play for a guy like Schloss. Jalen Flores has taken a big jump, right? Like after a little bit of a downtick last year, he has been a different animal. And kind of like what we talked about with Thomas Sewell, the Dish, a different entity, a different beast when you talk about college baseball lore. They were packed. I mean, that's probably the first time it's felt like that in half a decade. I mean, I know they've had some big weekends, but I know our boy over at Occupy Left Field had that place buzzing. And it felt different, right? Two like historic college baseball brand names battling it out. The Golden Tiger Yellow and
that Texas team 2-3 years ago when they had
Melendez
Madden on Friday, they had Trey Faltina short, they had Melendez, they had
Yeah, no, I'm not saying from a performance standpoint. Melendez won the Golden Spikes, right? I'm talking about the environment. I'm talking about the buzz around that team. I'm talking about the way that they had cultivated a buzz around it. Like that team was fantastic. It was an Omaha team. Like they were so good. Melendez hit 30 plus homers that year. He was the best player in the country. I'm talking about the environment. I'm talking about the way that they pre-gamed and tailgated and credit talking with Max Weiner, the three of us hanging out with him in DC at the ABCA this year, like all of the little things, right? The details in their social media, the way that they're marketing it, the way that they're like bringing player personality to life, I think has all kind of gone into what I was maybe referring to. Because you're right, that team 3 years ago was stupid.
You know what I think it is? I think it's that FCC bump. They're no longer on Longhorn Network.
That's
Everyone
true.
has access to their games now. I think their brand is going to grow immensely where people can watch their baseball team night in and night out. And that's going to translate to attendance numbers, social media numbers, XYZ, whatever it is. I think not being on Longhorn Network is going to change things a lot.
I didn't even think about that, and especially like with majority of the big name brands in the SEC to like week in and week out face the LSU's, the Tennessees, the right. Not to say that facing off against TCU and Texas Tech weren't exciting weekends, but that cultivated just that region of the country. Now you're reaching a totally different demographic. That's a perfect point, Dimitri.
Yeah.
We forgot about a guy in the Golden Spikes. Rylan Zabrowski from Georgia. He is just Charlie Condon 2.0. He looks exactly like Condon. He's only had 14 or 15 home runs this year, 50 RBIs, and has been a catalyst. That whole Georgia offense is nasty right
Dude,
now.
the whole offense is electric.
It's crazy how good they are offensively. But he's another name I would throw in there with the Justin LeBron as a potential favorite right now. But yeah, no, I think Texas, what Schlossnagle does, David Pierce, hell of a coach, great coach. He's going to do good things at Rice. He made them an Omaha caliber team every year. Schloss makes them a national championship caliber team every single year. That's the difference. So,
I agree.
but yeah, it was a fun series. I actually watched almost all 27 innings of that. There's just something nostalgic about the LSU jerseys, the Texas jerseys. Usually, we're used to seeing it at Rosenblatt Stadium or Omaha, but it was cool to see it host a 3-game series in March. So, really, really good stuff. Let's go. I don't want to spend all the rest of the show on the SEC.
Can I do a little submission? A little submission for my favorite series of the whole weekend.
I'll allow it. Go ahead.
How about them motherfucking UC Irvine anteaters, baby? They kicked the shit out of everybody's favorite team in the Big West. I love the Gaucho. I'm a big Gaucho guy, but we've been high on Irvine since the beginning. I thought they were the better team. I had to convince you to believe me. This team is so good, guys. You don't just sweep Santa Barbara in Santa Barbara like that. You just don't do that. And what Irvine did was just impressive. Just impressive.
Yeah, Irvine is they're in Omaha. They're a national championship caliber team. I would put it like an outside chance. Definitely Omaha. But they're good. They pitch the ball well. Their offense is great, and their best offensive threat's not even their best hitter right now, which is scary. It says a lot with Anthony Martinez. But yeah, dude, the Big West has been fun to follow this year. Hawaii, they're up 2-0 on the series. They played tonight, Monday night against UC Davis, but they run ruled UC Davis yesterday 16-0. That's a team that I watched them Saturday night, every single pitch. They're really good, really good. But let's talk about the ACC real fast because this Clemson Wake Forest series was another one where you think Clemson is dead, and the cardiac Clemson Tigers just continue to win these games. And not only like even the game they lost on Saturday to Wake Forest, they were down 10-0 and they lose 12-10. Yesterday they're down 6-0. They win the game 7-6 on a walk-off wild pitch, wasn't it?
Yep. And how about that dude from Wake Forest? He didn't just do a little wall scraper catch. He jumped over the wall and caught that ball and brought it back. And that would have been a game time home run to make it 12-12, I think.
Yeah. Clemson's a real deal, guys.
Shout out to Wheels, baby. Shout out Wheels. I was busy all weekend. I had to catch up Friday and Saturday. Shout out to Wheels. Hey, Jack, are you a Wheels guy?
Fantastic.
All right, what school did he do his first on-campus visit? Trivia question. Let's see how
Oh, he tweeted that he sent this out last week, didn't he?
Yeah.
By the way, Javar Williams made the home run robbery in center field. I want to shout out his name, Javar Williams. Where was he last week?
He throws it in every one of his highlight videos now. It's just like a commercial, basically, of his
To go watch
on-campus
it.
visit to the school.
I don't know.
And
I
his
didn't. I
listeners
wasn't.
are probably thinking about it too. If they're Wheels people, they know the answer.
Yeah, I wasn't on Wheels this weekend doing my own games. I realized how bad I am at eyes in the sky, like keeping up with everything when I'm calling actual games. Like I'm just so hyper focused. So I did not check it out. What he did fire it out last week though. I don't know. Hit me.
Yeah, he went to Vanderbilt.
Oh, did he? Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, but yeah.
Um,
If you are not aware, if you're listening to this and you're not aware, check out Wheels on YouTube. The absolute
Yeah.
goat of catching up on college baseball games when you miss some of the action.
Yeah, I've used him to clip a lot of my own broadcasting stuff. He's super, super talented, dedicates a lot of his time, which is what we should do with Clemson. Because I think the time that is flying by right now, where we've kind of not we're getting lost in the sauce of the SEC. Clemson to me, because I think what Merrick Houston is doing at Wake, he's another guy that should probably be in that Golden Spikes conversation we keep forgetting about.
Yeah.
But Wake is really good. And that is a massive series win with massive implications for seeding at the end of the year, I think. You know what I mean? Like when it comes to being potential regional versus a national host, this weekend will be the one that we look at. And to me, what Clemson is doing, I think they're the front runner to win the national championship, not named an SEC team. You know what I mean? Like to me, they right now are they're winning games in really weird ways, which I think at the end of the season speaks volumes. Like if they give up a ton of runs, their offense finds a way to bounce back. They can beat you in a pitching duel. They play really solid defense. And there's a lot of excitement around Doug Kingsmore right now.
Yep. Big Jaron Purify fan, by the way. After that South Carolina series, I really became a fan. The guy is electric. Even if he just hits the ground ball, moves the guy over, he's fired up about it. I really like watching him play. He's always somewhere in the action of every play, of every celebration, whatever. Jaron Purify is there.
Did you guys see the tweet? Dimitri, I think you actually retweeted it, but Jack, remember last year when we went on our North Carolina expedition or whatever, and Clemson hosted Florida State? It was like exactly a year ago from today. And Clemson came back from down 12-0 or maybe 7-0 in the ninth. Well, they did the same thing this weekend. Like it was almost an identical series to last year's Florida State series, and we saw where those two teams went. So yeah, I think Wake Forest is very good. Clemson is a tad bit better. Clemson, Florida State, Wake Forest, those are the three teams that I think could win a national championship. Well, I guess you could throw in North Carolina. I know they're not playing great, but out of the ACC, those would be my favorite and ranked in that order. Clemson, Florida State, Wake Forest. Now,
hey,
did anybody see Cal sweep Stanford this weekend? Because Stanford was buzzing. Like they were the talk of baseball for a little bit, and Cal actually goes and to Stanford and sweeps them. That's what these type of series are the ones that show you the depth of the conference because nobody's talked about Cal. They really haven't done a whole lot. They lose a weekend series to Duke, and I think they also did they lose a series to they lost a series to Virginia too. But then they go and sweep Stanford. Just shows the depth of the conference. So I wanted to throw that in there.
They lost to Duke and Virginia.
Yeah.
No.
And one more thing about the ACC. A team that's finally getting some respect. They're pitching a lot better this year. They finally got put in the rankings, top 25 rankings. Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is, let me pull it up here. What is the record? They're 7-2 in the ACC and 20-4 overall, and 5-1 in quad one games. The Jackets look a lot better.
Yeah, there's some help in that lineup too.
They look great, but Drew Burris hasn't been a superhuman. He's been playing a little bit above average.
That's what I was going to kind of refer to. Like the ACC Player of the Week, I don't know if they've announced it yet, but it should be Kyle Lodice. Like he went nuts last weekend, providing a little bit of depth in that lineup behind him. He was spectacular over the weekend.
Yeah.
Hey,
So
how
we get
cool is
Georgia
it? We
Tech
have.
hosting Clemson this weekend, which will be fun.
Hey, how about two of the best shortstops in the ACC, not named Merrick Houston, or both named Lodi?
Yeah, Florida
Facts.
State's. They're
Yep,
cousins,
Kyle
right?
and Alex Lodi.
Yep.
Yep, and one transferred from North Florida to Florida State. The other transferred from Augusta, down Ben's, almost near Ben's way. But yeah, really, really two exciting shortstops in the ACC. I think this is one of the better groups of talent I remember in the ACC in a while. So really cool. Hey, how about Jamie Arnold getting tits ripped by Miami? That was
That was such a backwards series.
That was so weird. Like that was so
Miami
weird.
looked like a JV team on Thursday night, and then Friday you're like, oh, they're facing Jamie Arnold. They're gonna get run ruled again. Nope, they just put it on them. 7 runs in 2 innings or something like that.
Yeah, and then they come back Saturday and get their ass beat again, like back to normal.
Yeah, weird.
So yeah, ACC is super fun to watch. East Coast to West Coast, all the way around. I love it.
Yeah.
Then don't forget, we got to mention. There's one more series we have to mention. I can't let us keep going without mentioning it.
Let's hear it.
From that small little town in South Alabama.
Troy. The Troy Coastal Series was playoff-esque. High tension, a lot of chirping, chippiness, and Troy ended up going from looking at losing a home weekend at one swing of the bat. They go and take a lead Sunday and win the series. So
4-1 Coastal on Sunday.
Yeah. 4-1, and then they put up a 7 spot, right?
Yeah.
And then the NCAA baseball Twitter account, don't want to harsh on them, but they make a post right after, like Coastal Carolina wins the series against Troy, and they just had it backwards. Like the games were backwards. That can't happen.
Yeah, I think that series told me more. Guy, Coastal's gonna be just fine this year. That's one series on the road. They can pitch. They can finally pitch on the road and keep that offense. Give that offense a chance 1 through 9 innings, because at any moment they're going to hang up a bunch of runs. But credit to Troy. I think Skylar Meade doing an incredible job. They had the pitching. Even late Sunday, they had enough pitching to shut down Coastal, and that said a lot to me.
Yeah. Those are the 2 teams, and then obviously Southern Miss. Like, I think the Sun Belt's only going to be a 3-bid league this year unless somebody wins the conference tournament. But between Troy, Coastal, and Southern Miss, they're on a tier just above everybody else. And Louisiana could get there. They've been there before. Not this year. They're not the same team this year. So, let's see. Let's talk a little bit of Big 12, and then I'll do my quick experiment, and then we'll get out of here. So, Big 12. Do we all agree that Arizona looks like the team to beat in the Big 12? Best team all around?
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. I think they're better than Arizona State right now. They've showed us more, but Arizona looked good.
Yeah, they had a 16-inning, 5-hour game on Friday night against West Virginia, and I think it showed me more about West Virginia, a team that I don't think is as battle-tested as Arizona schedule-wise, but the home fans, like, they turned out, sold out park, and they got to see a lot of baseball. Over 50 strikeouts combined in that game. So I think West Virginia will be up there in the top of the standings at the end of the year. Obviously, I think Arizona is the best team all around, but you still forget that Kansas State's playing well. Yeah, they beat the crap out of Baylor this weekend. Kansas, UCF, TCU, even Texas Tech. Like, Texas Tech showed me that they're not as bad as the record was early in the year.
Yeah,
They lose the series to TCU, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, we're not even talking about Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State is on the same level as A&M and Virginia and Florida. Just very underwhelming the first part of the season.
I agree. But I think I'm most intrigued. Yeah, we expected Arizona State to join this conference and compete right away. I'm super excited for Kansas. They competed all weekend with Arizona State. They got that Saturday game. They had a chance for the series, I think, early Sunday, then got out of hand. But UCF is going to be a team competing for this conference. Like this conference might not be ceiling wise the best, but shit, they're top to bottom. They're competing with any of the Power Four conferences
Did
from the
UCF
top to
lose the
bottom.
series to Houston this weekend?
Did
They
what?
dropped it on Friday. I know they dropped the Friday game.
Yeah, they lost. No, they lost the series.
UCF lost to Houston, right?
Yeah,
Wow, and that's
after
a big
Houston got
road series
swept.
win for Houston.
Yeah. So, yeah, Arizona State is going to be a super fun series in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they're also going to play each other in the midweek, like always. But whatever. All right, let me do my experiment real fast, and then we'll get out of here. So, what I did, it's not quite a field of 64, and you guys know me. I love making just for my own entertainment field of 64 projections for predicting what's going to happen in June. So it's not all about what's happened right now. It's also looking at schedules in the future. It's looking at teams and like conferences and how many teams will each conference get potentially. And this year is so top heavy because you go down the 30, I guess there's 31 conferences or 30 conferences. I don't have the exact number. I always forget because they change. But I only have 9 conferences as potential 2-bid leagues or more. The rest are 1-bid leagues. And conferences like the SEC and the ACC and the Big 12, um, they're going to hold like over 50% of the field, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It would be shocking. Like the SEC right now, I think would get 14 teams in the tournament, which is nuts to think about. And they just did it in basketball, so it's not unheard of. But even if they get 13 teams, the ACC is going to get 8, 9, 10, possibly. The Big 12 is going to get 7, 8, 9, possibly. The Big 10, you're looking at 4 to 6, probably.
Mm.
It's going to
No
be
way,
tight.
really? You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many in
Between
the big?
Oregon, UCLA, Michigan's RPI is pretty high, and then like you got to think there's Penn State, USC, Minnesota, Michigan State, Purdue. They're all playing pretty well. In fact, Minnesota
14.
actually has a top 15 RPI right now, which is nuts. But yeah, I think the Big Ten is going to get at least 4 teams in the tournament, probably 4 to 6. That's the crazy part. So conferences like the CAA is turned into a 1-bid league. The RPIs are super inflated right now, and I know they'll change, but Northeastern, Charleston, UNCW, they can't hold the weight for the rest of the conference slacking in the RPI. So what I did was, and this might not make sense, so I apologize. 82 teams. I went through each conference and listed potential teams of getting an at-large berth slash 1-bid league. We're looking at 82 teams, and that is with like the American Conference. I put 5 potential teams with East Carolina, Florida Atlantic, UTSA, Tulane, and USF. I think are all good enough to get an at-large. But even Tulane's RPI is sitting at 132 right now. It's going to be hard to get down that 30 to 45 range.
That's
So
crazy.
yeah, like obviously the American won't get 5 teams. So you subtract like let's say they're a 2-bid league. You subtract 3 from that 82 possible, and that brings it down to 79. Conference USA, I wrote 6 teams' names down as good enough or could potentially play their way into an at-large bid. At most, it's going to be a 2-bid league. So you subtract 4. So like between Dallas Baptist, Western Kentucky, Florida International, Kennesaw, Liberty, Jacksonville State.
Yep.
You have to subtract 4 out of there. So that brings it down to 75. And you just work your way down to 64 teams because like I had to write down 4 for the Big West. You're looking at probably 2, maybe 3 between Irvine, Cal Poly, Hawaii, UC Santa Barbara. Who's another? Oh, the Who's another conference here? The Big East. I wrote 3 down. They're probably only going to get 1. Big 10, I wrote 8 down. Big 12, I wrote 9 down. So you just subtract your way down, and I think the bubble is going to be ultimately down between the ACC's 10th team and the SEC's 14th team and the Big 12's 9th team. Like that's what it's going to come down to. These mid majors are going to have no shot when it comes to the bubble anymore. Sad.
That's crazy.
I think that's a product of the Pac-12 being cut because Oregon State is another team that's going to take a bid that's not even in a conference.
I didn't even write Oregon State's name down. Oh my gosh. That makes it even tighter.
Well, in your defense, there's 30 conferences, and this year there's 31 because there's the independent conference, which is just Oregon State. So, you did it by conference. That's not a big deal. You forgot them.
But still, like that makes it even tight. Like that window is tight.
So it's because a whole entire conference just got dissipated into other conferences, and it makes those conferences even deeper, which therefore means your 10th ranked team in that conference is probably going to have a shot at getting in because their resume is so strong.
That makes sense. The conference RPIs,
yeah, it's going to inflate all those teams in those Power 4 conference RPI. So the bubble is going to get even harder for the mid majors outside of the Sun Belt.
Yeah, I agree. Well, and then one other thing that came to my mind is I don't think it's going to be too long before the Horizon and the Summit League like combine forces into one conference, because the fact that the Horizon League has 6 teams and they get 1 bid, the Summit League has 6 teams, and last year they only had 5 eligible to make the postseason because of St. Thomas. They get a bid. I think the NCAA or like these SEC and ACC and Big 12 conference are going to say, nope, they're going to get 1 bid between the 2 of them. The SWAC and the Patriot League are going to have to share 1 bid. Like, I think we're going to start seeing more of the FCS football model of these conferences having to join each other to make but instead of just 2 6-person conference or 2 6-team conferences, 1 12-team conference, and one representative will go and get beat up as a 4 seed somewhere.
I would be really heartbroken if we lost those 4 seeds from those conferences, but we're always going to be proponents for a better quality field of 64 at the end of the day in the regional weekend. So what if this just came off the top of my head? What if you did like those two conferences, instead of merging, they play a 3-game series the weekend before regional, like conference tournament time. They schedule where those 2 teams play a 3-game series. The winner gets their bid.
I'm 100% in, like a play-in almost, where they get big time ESPN time, like they get to the moment shined on them. I like that idea.
So like your winner of your Horizon and the winner of the Patriot League, for example, you play a 3-game series, winner advances to regional.
Yeah, you can do 4 of those, like a play-in game in a sense, like you see.
And you get rid of 4 of those 4 seed bubble, and I think that's great because we all know the Long Island. Sorry, that's a terrible team. Put some respect on the Long Island Sharks.
Damn right, brother.
A team like, I don't know, Marist or one of those teams up northeast. They have no business going to play Arkansas. They have no business going to play some of these teams. I would rather see a team that kind of earned their way there. I know they earned it for the conference championship.
They used to deserve it, right? Before, I mean, and they still do. Don't get me wrong. But in the past, before the transfer portal, you could theoretically, the Stony Brook style, like have a team together for 3-4 years, start them as freshmen, sophomore. They play 150 games total over 3 years, and they can sneak up and beat and win the UNC regional or win the LSU regional or whatever. Nowadays, the top talent from the Marist of the world and the Long Islands, like they're just getting North Florida, for example, they're just getting popped. Like their best players are just literally being taken from under them. So, and we're seeing that with the NCAA basketball tournament. Barely any upsets. Now, baseball, you're going to see more upsets, but you won't see, for example, if Ball State is a 4 seed at Tennessee's not Tennessee, but if Ball State's a 4 seed at
Kentucky's
regional, they could beat Kentucky Friday, but then trying to beat them a second time or get through that double elimination tournament, it's going to be very, very rare, very hard.
I'll put it like this. I'll put it like this. The sport, when you look at last year, the first time ever that two conferences were only represented in Omaha with 4 of the SEC, 4 of the ACC, I don't necessarily think that is going to be the permanent trend, right? Like, I think without question, Irvine, Troy, Coastal Carolina have a chance to go to Omaha. Like, I really do. I truthfully believe that. But the problem is those bubble mid-major teams, like it's never going to happen again for a team like that to be able to go in a regional and beat them twice. It won't happen. Like, they don't have the depth to win 4 games in a regional setting. Like, it won't. And it's super sad, but it's the reality.
Yeah. But baseball is the only sport of the big three where the little guy has a chance to win. Basketball, they're just going to out-athletic you. They're going to outsize you. They're going to just out-everything you. Football, they're going to outsize you in the line, in the trenches. They're just going to out-athletic you. They're going to have the more talented quarterback. They're going to have – it's just – you can physically beat somebody in football and basketball, physically by size. Baseball, you can throw – a guy going out there can spin 80-82 with a big old loopy curveball, and whatever team hit 26 flyouts to the warning track and you lose 1-0. It's still possible in baseball. So it's the only sport that upsets are still going to happen. Is just up. You can't an upset over a 4-game run in a regional. It's even more slim. So it's not a one game. It's not a one-off. It's a whole weekend where everything hits for them. It's just never going to happen anymore.
The best chance that a legitimate mid-major, not talking Sunbelt or the high mid-major conferences, but if you took somebody like Richmond this year who's really good, they're 20-4. I think the only way they could win a regional is if they are the 4 seed, they knock off the 1 seed day one, and let's say it's Virginia. Let's say it's Virginia is the 1 seed. And then you have somebody like an East Carolina or somebody as a 2 seed, and they knock them, like they lose game 1 and they knock off a Virginia, because then you kind of get the depth of East Carolina versus Richmond. It's not that big of a gap versus a Power 4 like SEC team.
Hypothetically speaking, a more accurate example would be 2 years ago when Wake Forest and George Mason, Maryland Northeastern. Wake beats up on Mason. Day 2, Mason beats Northeastern. And then if you remember, Maryland and Wake played in a game that started at 11:58. So, like, if that game, which was pretty tight, goes a different direction, then all of a sudden it opens up a completely different window for these, like, smaller schools to take down the big dogs because they've already been taken down the notch.
We saw it in Auburn with Penn and Southern Miss.
Yeah, there you go.
And we also saw it in Greenville with East Carolina and Evansville. Like, if East Carolina loses that elimination game to who was it? Who was in that regional? Coastal?
Wake Forest.
It was Wake.
Oh, Wake Forest was the 2 seed, and they lost to East Carolina in the 0-1 game. Yeah.
I think of the Cannibals.
Who was the 3 seed in that regional?
VCU, maybe?
Yeah.
VCU. With Evansville VCU 1-0 game. That's a perfect example of a regional like that. And it's just really hard. I mean, it's just really hard. That's just not, I mean, the odds of that happening. So it is still possible, but it's just going to get harder and harder.
Yeah. But anyways, we got anything else for the show? I know we missed over the mid-major top 25. We just released it recently. I need to run here though. We go look at our mid-major top 25. It's on our Twitter, it's on our Instagram. But we'll be back Wednesday to record a show for this weekend number 7 preview, and then we'll recap the midweek. I think the midweek's going to be pretty good, but the weekend slate's not great this week. It's not a great on paper weekend slate, in my opinion.
Yep. I just wanted to apologize to our fans. We didn't get our mid-major out last night. Combination of everyone being busy, me being resettled in a new place. We will be back on track. The content will come back. Our podcast will be more informative and all that as we kind of get situated in all our personal lives. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy your week. And Ben and I will get the weekend pick'em and survivors out tonight ASAP.
Yep. Sounds good. Appreciate everybody for listening, and we'll be back Wednesday night, Thursday morning. So look for us. Bye.